They say winning ain't everything. Well, we don't have them type conversations over here, man. Had that conversation with the losers. We trying to win at everything we do. Even in the loss, we don't see defeat. We see a lesson learned. Straight up. Look, I came into this world in 1978. The doc looked me in my face and knew I was something great. 45, 42 Prescott, that's where I'm from. Grew up in the slums around dope dealers and bums. As humble as I was, I adapted to my habitat. In my own lane though, far from where they crashing at. Dumb bar graduate, the game I'd have mastered it. Served in the Navy, look, y'all don't know the half of it. Pops passed in '01, moms passed last year. I know they up in heaven smiling down, crying mad tears, cause they son making it. No telling where I'm taking it. My city been cursed, but I feel that I'm breaking it. Coached at Wayne High in 15 in one state. Seen the fork in the road and went straight. I know what I'm worth, I'm OG King Kirk. Brooklyn Nets gaming crew legend, let's work.
Hey, this is OG King CURT, your host of the OG2CENTS podcast. I want to thank each and every one of you who continue to tune in every Sunday. We truly appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share it. Remember, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a lot. Links are in the description for all available streaming platforms. Let's continue to stand up against any forms of social injustice and racism. And also, let's spread love and not hate. This episode is brought to you by Zenni Blocks. Make sure to armor your eyes with Zenni Blocks virtual clear blue blockers. It's important to protect your eyes from the harmful blue light from your digital screens, so you'll have less eye strain, and that makes for better sleep and performance. Check them out at zenni.com/gaming or follow them at Zenni Gaming on Twitter and Instagram. This episode 57, the Sportstein. Harris Rubenstein, he is a full-time content creator and league operations assistant for the NBA 2K League. He spent 2 years helping manage all social media platforms for the league before transitioning into a more public-facing role. He's done on-air talent work in sports and esports since high school, and after stints in Boston, LA, and Dallas, he landed with the NBA 2 years ago and haven't looked back. So with further ado, Harris, how you doing today?
It's as maybe one of the biggest fans of this podcast. It is an honor to be welcomed onto the OG2CENTS podcast. This is an easy part of my Sunday rotation for pods. I do this, and then I roll into Bill Simmons. And then I'll usually start to record some of my own stuff on the side. But this is an easy rotation podcast for me. I love this podcast.
Well, I appreciate it, Harris. And I've been loving what you've been doing lately. For some, you kind of popped up. For others, we've been watching your progress. So with that being said, just tell us your story and how you got to where you are today.
Man, it's been a long story. So I'll keep to the good parts. Born in New Jersey, raised in Baltimore, Maryland. I went to McDonough High School, a private institution. It was a military school, not anymore, thank God. But basically, my high school is the size of a college campus, just massive, massive school, big buildings, the whole workaround. And you'd figure from that kind of background that I'd be like this, snobby rich kid. But I'm extremely blessed to have two very grounded parents who made sure that I did not become a spoiled brat. They definitely yelled it out of me as a kid, making sure that I always put my best foot forward and treated people the right way, character-wise. I started recording sports podcasts when I was 13 years old after I went to a sports broadcasting camp starting at age 10. I still remember the name of my first podcast, Red Sox Talk, Who's Your Poppy? And it was just a big logo of David Ortiz, who's still my favorite athlete of all time. From high school, I was lucky enough to go to Emerson College up in Boston, Massachusetts. Love Boston, man. I'm a Boston sports fan. Emerson was the perfect place for me. I believe that there are certain people who are meant to be kind of, a small fish in a big pond. And then there's some people who are meant to be kind of a big fish in a small pond. And, Emerson didn't even have a football team. So for me as a sports broadcaster, it was a really easy place for me to go in and just kind of instantly take over. Like as a freshman, I was already one of the main officers for our sports network. By my sophomore year in college, I was the sports director for our college news station. I had started a sports television show, one of the first at Emerson College, and we actually ended up winning the award for best TV show on campus. We were the first sports show to do that in 35 years. So, you know, it's, I guess, like small note to the people who are like looking into colleges and stuff. Like, it's not always about the name on the degree. It's about the opportunities that you're going to be able to get at that college. And for me, Emerson was perfect. Like, I could have gone to the University of Miami. I could have gone to Ithaca College. I could have gone to the University of Missouri, like these big journalism programs, but I wanted to go somewhere that I could kind of, I didn't need to learn. I needed experience, and Emerson definitely gave me that. My last semester of college, I spent in Los Angeles, loved it, worked for the legendary Fred Rogan, one of the best sports broadcasters of all time. He definitely whipped me into shape, got me ready for the real world. And then I graduated college, Kurt. And do you know what happens? Do you know what happens when you graduate college? Life punches you in the face. That's what life does when you graduate college. You think that you have it all figured out. You know, I got this, man. Like, I'm going to come right out of college and ESPN is going to want to hire me. No, that did not happen. I ended up getting signed to a very small sports network called Chat Sports based out in Dallas, Texas. Was there for about 18 months, did not get along too well with my boss. We ended on good terms, but we just had differing thoughts about how, you know, I should have been used and whatnot. I made some great friends down there, was unemployed for about 6 months, and then here we are, Kurt. Found my way to the NBA 2K League, and like you said, I haven't looked back. I am blessed to be in the position I am today. I've worked really hard at it, gone through a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, but I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be where I'm at.
Gotcha. Now, far as gaming is concerned and esports, when did you get into gaming and esports?
Oh man, well, I'll start with gaming. So as you know me, Kurt, I'm a very energetic guy, right? I'm always trying to, you know, try and find ways to get my energy out. And as a kid, I was big into sports, right? I played baseball, played soccer, played squash in high school. But when those sports are done, I needed an outlet to keep myself out of trouble and to kind of engage with, you know, friends and whatnot. And I've been playing video games since I was, I think, single digits, maybe 8, 9. Nintendo, you know, I had a GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, the original Xbox. I had everything, man. And gaming has been a very, very integral part of my life for as long as I can remember. So when I graduated college, or right around the time I started graduating college, I noticed that esports was starting to blow up, especially in the US. I knew that it was big in Europe. I knew that, you know, Call of Duty was big, and I knew that League of Legends was big, but about 2016, 2017 is about when esports really started to take over in the USA. So I started a small media company called Off the Screen TV. It was a very small operation. It was me and a couple friends. We made a little content just to kind of get our foot in the door of esports. And from there, I just continued to track it. I became a bigger fan of it. I started to watch Call of Duty League all the time. I started to watch a little bit of League of Legends here or there. Overwatch I got really into when the Overwatch League started. And I just had a feeling that with how much I knew that my friends and I played video games, and the amount that I knew that my age group in general played video games, there was no way that esports wasn't going to be massive among my age group and the guys younger than me. And I knew I had to get into it. And once the NBA 2K League came calling, basketball, video games, put them together, bam! Like what better combination for me? So it was always something I was interested in, but I never really got a real opportunity to get my foot into it before the 2K League.
Now, what was your thoughts when you heard about the announcement of the 2K League? What was your initial thoughts?
Well, at the time, I was the lead NBA host for Chat Sports. So I noticed that it got started. I thought it was really cool. But to be totally honest, I didn't pay attention to it all that much. I heard that it was announced. I kept track of the teams. I thought I was like, oh, this is cool. But I never really thought about it beyond that. I was like, all right, the NBA just wants to get into esports. So season 1, again, I've admitted this multiple times. I did not pay attention to the league at all. I barely knew it existed. The league didn't know I exist. I followed them on Twitter, but like with the way that the Twitter algorithm worked, I never saw any of their stuff because I never really engaged with it before. So when I got hired in season 2, I came in completely like with no idea. Like I had done some research on it, obviously coming into the job just to get like a general overview. But my first day on the job, probably bad for me to admit this, I didn't know the players. I didn't know who won the first championship. The only thing I knew is that PP Ballin got drafted 5th overall by Mavs Gaming because I was at the Mavs Gaming draft event in Dallas. That's all I really knew about the league. But obviously I know a whole lot more now.
Right. Now, I mean, you know, of course, with the 2K League comes the 2K community. What once you got introduced to the 2K community, what are your thoughts far as then versus now?
You know, I think there's only really one word that I think you can use to describe the 2K community. And you know, a lot of people give it a really bad rap. I know that it can be extremely competitive at times. I know that sometimes people can kind of get a little bit out of their depth with certain stuff. But the number one word I use to describe the 2K community is passionate. I mean, the amount of passion that's in this community for the game, for competitive nature, for everything, it's truly special. The only thing I can really remember in terms of the competitiveness of this community is like Gears of War. And I know people are going to say, they'll be like, oh, you don't remember real Gears of War, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, the passion is the exact same. People cursing people out during games, calling each other trash, like the whole thing. It's so ingrained in other esports. But for some reason, when people in 2K do it, they're like, oh, what is this? This is outrageous. Like, the 2K community is as passionate as any gaming community that I've ever come across. And trust me, there are a lot of gaming communities out there that are pretty low key, but I love that the 2K League community is so not low key. There are beefs every other week. There are clan battles. There are wagers. You have players who have despised each other for years, Kurt. Years these players have hated each other. And it's so rare to have that kind of environment inside of a community that is still relatively new. And I think that's one thing that kind of bothers me when it comes to the 2K community is that competitively, like real competitively, like in terms of upper echelon esports, 2K has only been in esport for like 4 years, 5 years. I mean, Halo has been in esports since the early 2000s. Call of Duty's been in esports since the early 2000s. Same with Gears of War, same with League of Legends. So in terms of looking at it as a competitive community, it's still super young, which is why all these rivalries that are being created now are going to pay off in the long run. So people just need to give it a little bit more of a chance and just give it more time before making some sort of, you know, crazy statement about it.
Yeah, I always say there's so many parts to 2K in general. That's why I kind of divided. I always say the 2K Pro-Am community because, you know, you got Park, you know, you had stage, you got the 1v1, you got the My Team. Like, it's so many different parts to 2K. So when they start talking about the community as a whole, I mean, you know, you can see a clan beef and and then somebody just jumps in and says, oh, the 2K community is this and that or whatever. And it has nothing to do with Pro-Am or it has nothing to do with the 2K League. So it's just in essence, it's one big old community, but it has its different pieces to it that makes it up. So I'm always specific about mentioning it as the 2K Pro-Am community. You know, Harris, you've been dominating here lately on Twitch with your content, and you know, pre-draft is always a fun time for some, not for all, not for all, but you've taken advantage. You know, Champ is taking advantage. I think, you know, Joe Vegas, a lot of different people, 2K Zone, Phil Reed, like everybody's taking advantage during this time, which is they should. I mean, I get a kick out of it. I don't indulge in it, of course, in the position that I'm in, but I do pay attention. And I appreciate, I mean, it you know, you have to, like I say, if you want to be in the light, you have to be able to handle everything. So
of course
I don't knock it, but y'all have taken advantage of the pre-draft era and mock drafts. You know, mock drafts drive the community wild at times. But just talk about you know, your success and what you've been doing on Twitch.
Sure. I think one of the things that's been missing from the 2K League, at least from a content standpoint that I've noticed, is traditional sports content, right? Like I think that, the league puts out as much as it can in terms of like 2K stuff, right? Like, written game recaps, box scores, like all that jazz. But from a media coverage standpoint, even Dimer, I think, like mixed out on a lot of the stuff. Like written articles and written content only goes so far in the modern age, especially with a really young fan base. It only goes so far. I mean, most of the time people who read my articles, they'll skim it, right? It's a skim, go through there, see if there are any notes that they want to read, and just keep moving on. But our community and esports in general is so video focused that it's kind of like a missed opportunity that nobody's really taken that kind of route. So for me, I always wanted to get on Twitch, just with my personality and the way that I make content. I knew that if I found the correct angle, that Twitch would be perfect for me. And it's proven to be, because I've been doing podcasts and, since I was 13, like I said. Twitch is basically just one big podcast if you're not playing a video game. It's just you sitting in front of a microphone in front of people for a specific amount of time. That's just a podcast. So for me, when I started streaming in November, that was the exact vibe that I wanted. I wanted to do fun, engaging segments, bring on cool guests, apply traditional sports content to the NBA 2K League, and just see how far I could take it. And so far, I mean, I don't like to brag about my Twitch numbers too much, just because I think that there's a certain, I want to say, annoyance that certain people get when you're just like bragging about your numbers all the time. But the number one thing that I've noticed is that the growth has been tremendous. I started at 13 viewers in November, average live viewers in November. I'm up to 133 now. I've literally 10x'd my live viewership in about 3.5 months, which for me is unbelievable. Like I thought that my Twitch career would be, sitting around 20 to 30 viewers, just having some cool people to talk about basketball with for a while. And now it's kind of taken on a life of its own, where I have to be very careful about the stuff that I say on Twitch, because I know that people are going to clip that stuff, send it to their friends, whatever. Like if I say something about a player that's negative, that player will be in my Twitch chat 10 minutes later because somebody told them I said something about them. Every single time, like clockwork. I have experimented with this, where I will intentionally go out of my way and say something about a player just to see how long it will take them to get into my Twitch chat. Now, I always joke that like I have, real estate in these guys' heads with like the stuff that I talk about on Twitch. And I kind of do, but the only reason I do is because nobody else, it's really in terms of like analysis, right? 2K Zone kind of did it for a while, then they kind of vanished until the draft was over. So it was really just Champ and I. And what's different between Champ and I when it comes to this Twitch stuff is that people know him. He's been around for a long time, right? Like he's been in the community since the very beginning. I'm still a relative new guy here. So I think people get a different tone out of my content because I come at it from a very different perspective than a lot of other people. My perspective on Twitch, especially with the 2K League, is I am league first, and then everything else comes afterwards. So, I make the jokes all the time on my stream that like, I don't care about Pro-Am. Well, it's not that I don't care about Pro-Am. I watch a ton of it. I do. But what that means is your accomplishments in Pro-Am to me are kind of meaningless versus the accomplishments that you have in the league. My job is to cover the NBA 2K League. That is my job. That is signed, sealed, delivered on my contract. My job is not to cover Pro-Am. Pro-Am is a part of the job, but that's not my goal. My goal is to analyze the league as well as I can. And that's why the draft is so much fun for me, because it's kind of like college basketball, right? You have March Madness going on right now. In March Madness, there will be guys who dominate college basketball, right? They are fantastic college basketball players. But the job of a draft analyst is to not analyze how good that guy is in college. A draft analyst's job is to project how that player is going to look like in the NBA. That is their job. So for me, that is what I kept trying to explain to people. So somebody would come to me and be like, oh, this guy has won 30 Pro-Am titles. Oh my God, look at all the stuff that he's won. And I'm like, that's great. How does he project to the league where he's not playing with the same teammates. He doesn't have a 99 overall demigod build. He has to get coached on a day-to-day basis. And if he loses a game or his team loses a couple games in a row, how do you rebound from that emotionally? How do you keep your ego out of it and boost up the people around you? So it's a whole different world. And that's why I try to slam home people how different the league is from Pro-Am, because I don't think that people really get how different the league is from Pro-Am. You are not sitting at home playing 2K. You are surrounded by adults who are trying to win money and are trying to advance their own careers. Every single person, even if you're on a team, at the end of the day, it is about the team, but people are they're always looking out for number one. So you have to find somewhere in you to sacrifice that to give back to the team, while understanding that the people around you might not necessarily do that. There's so many angles to it when it comes to the league. And that's where, to kind of bring it back to my Twitch stream, that's my message on Twitch, that the league is the league, Pro-Am is Pro-Am. They have their connectors to it, but you got to keep them separate, because at the end of the day, the NBA can only be so close to the NCAA. The NFL can only be so close to college football. The 2K League can only be so close to Pro-Am, because at the end of the day, they are two different entities. So when people come to my stream, they know that that's my angle. My angle is 2K League first, everything else comes second. And it's been fun. I mean, I love it, Kurt. I can't tell you how much I love it when people come in and talk crap to me. I love it when players come in, they try to dispute the stuff I say. When people bring my clips back up me and tell me that I'm wrong. When people challenge my opinions. This is the stuff that we need. Opinions create community, and that community will be what ends up taking the 2K League even further. There is no way that the 2K League is going to blow up without content. It's just not going to happen. So we have to find ways and understand that all the content is business. It's simply to promote the league, and none of this is personal. Like, Kurt, I've even talked about you on my stream before, and like the difficulties, some of the difficulties that you've had for the first two seasons, but I've never disrespected you. I've only been like, yeah, their team season 2, they didn't have the best roster. The team season 3, like, Chalk carried it all the way home. Like, I'll never come out and be like, you know what? That OG King CURT guy, he sucks. Screw that guy. He's terrible. Take his job away. He's fired. Like, that's never my priority. My priority is always to cover the league in a way that a average viewer could consume it the same way they would consume another sport. And by doing that, you're going to ruffle some feathers along the way.
No, and that's well put. I mean, even for me, I think, I don't know, a lot of people get the wrong perception about me. I mean, I don't mind a good laugh here and there. Or sometimes I don't mind facing the truth. Yeah. Like, I mean, that it comes with it. I mean, when you're at the pinnacle of anything, the scope is on. And I always said in sports, and that it's an open platform for people to see your success and see your failures. So it's not, you can't hide from it. I mean, if I was to go 0-16, it's in the public eye. Everybody's going to see it. So, I mean, I expect to be, judged harshly in it. And then if I was, just like last year with the Raptors went 16-0, they're going to get praised. So, it's a lot of highs, mids, and lows that come with it. But me, I just try to float somewhere in the middle. Never too high, never too low.
And one more thing that I just want to say, I think guys aren't used to the kind of coverage that Champ and I give to them about their game. They are so used to receiving feedback from their own guys on their team. That's really the only feedback that they get during Pro-Am. So, let's talk about the NBA, right? Somebody like LeBron James, people have been talking about his game in the media since he was 18 years old, and he's now 36, right? Or however old. I'm ageless, LeBron James. Right. So he is used to that kind of media coverage. Guys in the NBA are used to that because they've been getting talked about forever. But guys in the 2K community are not used to people like me commenting about their game all the time. And it definitely agitates them, which I understand, because I would also probably get agitated if I wasn't used to it. but again, like that's what sports is, and that's what the competitive side to this league is that you need to perform, or guys like Champ and I are going to kind of rip you for not performing. That's the league now. That's what it is. You have to be ready for that kind of pressure. And I think a lot of guys, honestly, just are not ready for that kind of pressure. They aren't ready for Champ or I to say something, or for anybody in the 2K community to say that they're bad or to say that they struggled. They don't want to hear that. So that's another part of the league that I think is most fascinating. You had guys like, like a JBM last year, or a team like the Warriors who, when they had bad games, like we would get on them for that. Like we would really go at them for it. And I'm not going to sit here and take all the credit, like, oh, we're the reason that they got better, but they definitely heard us. They definitely heard our criticism, and they're never going to admit it publicly. Of course, no player will ever admit that Champ and I are going to get to them with our commentary publicly, but that kind of stuff is important, because it's always going to be there. If the league is going to grow, it is always going to be there. Criticism, praise, analysis, all that stuff is going to be there if the league is going to grow. So players need to understand that it is, to them, it is a necessary evil. Without it, the league itself will not grow. But at the same time, it's going to have to, again, like I said before, it has to ruffle their feathers. That analysis is so key. Without 2K Zone, without, even your podcast giving analysis on people, like guys are going to have targets on their back in the league. And if they aren't ready for the pressure that comes along with it, then they're just not ready for prime time. When you have big money on the line, you have competition on the line, there has to be people on the outside analyzing what you're doing and transferring that to an audience. There will always be that. So you better be ready for it. If you're not ready for it, you're gonna get ripped.
Right. The funny thing about it is that I had a prior episode with Champ, is that he made a great point that I didn't even think about. He said that when the Pro-Am really started kicking off, it really hadn't been around long enough to develop anything before it was a 2K League announcement.
Yeah.
We took the Jordan Rec Center and turned it into a competitive atmosphere. And when I say we, I'm saying the NPBA and the WR, because we started around the same time.
Yeah.
Now you look fast forward to they put Pro-Am in 2K16. And then 2017, boom, we get an announcement about the 2K League, and then 2018, the inaugural season. So it really hadn't been only around for a couple of years now. Prior to, a lot of the players who end up becoming really good at Pro-Am, they were competing back in the day with with game battles and different things like that. So a lot of that community grew into the Pro-Am community, and that's where the growth came from so rapid. Yeah. But yeah, it hadn't been around for really people to get adjusted. And then now, I think anytime you have growth with anything, it's going to be pros and cons. I mean, and the pros is that our favorite game title is being highlighted, and now people have a chance to become professionals, not only as players, but GMs, coaches, social media, all in all different areas. Some of the cons is that it's only 138 players. There's only 23 GMs and coaches. So it's so limited that if you don't get in, obviously you're gonna feel a certain kind of way, and they're not always the best way. So like I said, with growth, it's always negatives and positives, and we just have to take the combination of both and kind of exercise into the greater good, if that makes sense. We just completed the season 4 draft. You put out some ideas and thoughts, and so has everybody, all the other content creators in the community. Just wanted you to speak on some of your predictions and thoughts going into season 4.
Sure. So first of all, the one thing I want to stress to a lot of people when it comes to this process is that, I think I differ from a lot of analysts, because I have a very specific connection with a lot of the coaches and GMs and players in this league, right? Like at the end of the day, sure, I am a content creator, but I also still work for the league. So it's this funny line that I kind of have to follow in order to make sure that I'm not burning bridges, but I'm also maintaining the proper amount of information online. Like, you know, I'm not going to say who my sources are in every organization, but like, you know, I tell a lot of the GMs all the time, like I'll happily trade information for you if you want me to peddle a certain thing in the public so that people think you're doing whatever. Like, I'm happy to blow smoke and, you know, throw bullshit wherever people want me to exchange information, because at the end of the day, my job when the draft comes is to be prepared as possible. My job is draft day, right? As a draft analyst this year, my job is draft day. My job is not to be on Twitch every night giving hot takes. I do that because it's fun, and I do that because, you know, an extra couple $100 a month from Twitch checks is really nice for the old rent payment. But my job is draft day. So all of the mock drafts that you see from me, you should always pay attention to. And I'm not saying that because I want you to watch them, because you'll be able to see, if you really pay attention, you'll be able to see like the different stuff that I'm trying to peddle, the different stuff I might be hearing, the different ways that things might go. And then on draft day, don't be surprised when this stuff comes out. Like when I said the Hawks are going to take a point guard 11 in December, people like forgot about that. And I know I keep bringing it up, and I don't want to bring it up anymore. This will be the last time publicly that I bring up that I called that. I'm done. But like, that is like a very specific instance where if you pay attention to the stuff that I say, you'll notice it that I heard before that like they are very interested in taking a guard or just going best player available, regardless of who it is. That like I kept peddling that online. And, you know, draft day comes around. My mock draft, my final mock draft still hasn't been made public. Like I've shown a couple people it before. I think India has seen it. I know Token has seen it. We were going to do it on BFW Live on Wednesday, but we just ran out of time. My final mock draft has almost the entire top 10 correct, on top of like, I got the second half of the first round wrong. That Reese the God pick at 7 really threw me for a loop. I never heard anything about that. But my job as a draft analyst is to be ready for draft day. So when I'm sourcing different things and I'm hearing different things, I try to put that in my content as much as I can without harming the relationships that I've grown. You know, I'm a journalism major. I know how to exchange sources. I know how to, you know, acquire information that might not be public. And I do it. There's always a trust. Like Adam Schefter doesn't get all the big scoops. Woj doesn't get all the big scoops without a semblance of trust with GMs and agents. And I hope that with the GMs that I've gotten information from, they trust that I'm not going to screw them over. And I feel like that's one of the biggest problems with our community nowadays, or from at least from the draft perspective, is that there's no trust. I definitely don't think the GMs fully understand how often they will tell their players things, and the players will instantly go and tell everybody constantly, over and over and over again, like real confidential information that all of a sudden just ends up with a content creator because a player couldn't keep their mouth shut. Like it's kind of wild. Like people always get on the content creators for like releasing stuff, but like nobody gets on the players for being like they're blabbermouths, man. They tell everything that comes across the board. They'll send private emails to content creators. They'll give them their full draft strategies. Like it's really wild, the stuff that players will tell different people. But in terms of the overall draft, and I'll kind of bring this full circle, this was the best draft in NBA 2K League history for a lot of different reasons. Incredible impact in terms of the international and women in gaming community. Incredible. 2 of the best women gamers on the planet in DJ Lay and Ziggy Zai get picked. Massive for the league. And I'll just say this because I feel the need to make a public statement about this. I don't care about your opinion about women. I not you specifically, Kurt. I care about your opinion for everything. But the community, I do not care. I don't care how good or bad you think they are. If you think that both of them aren't good at 2K, you just don't watch them play. Like that's all it is. And people will be like, "Oh, they're women. They must be bad." Okay, you go watch Ziggy Zaya in the USAP trials, and you tell me that girl doesn't know how to play 2K at the highest levels. Like a lot of people make fools of themselves when they talk about the women in gaming people, and they expose themselves pretty easily in terms of who's actually watching and who's not. And I want everybody to know, and I hope the players take this as a casual and cautious warning. We are all watching you this year. We have 2 women this year who are likely going to play in a lot of games. Okay, Ziggy's going to probably play in a bunch of games with the Mavs. DJ's going to play for a bunch of games with the Celtics. It was different when Chiquita got drafted because they had a pretty clear starting five, and she was definitely going to be a rotational player for them. But the two women we have this year, they are going to play a lot of games. We are all watching how you treat them. Be careful. Be smart. Okay? Like that, it's an easy warning, but like I'm telling you, I've already seen some of it during scrims. I'm not going to use names. I'm not going to call out teams, but we are all watching. And it is very obvious when you treat the women as competitive players versus when you think, oh, they're in the game because they're bad because they're women. There's a fine line. Walk that fine line. On the other side of it are the international players that coming in, because not only do we have 3 international players, we have, plus some Canadian players we have coming in. The European players that we have coming in are 2 of the biggest names in all of gaming. It's all of 2K in the world. Okay. I don't think people understand how big Mario is. Like I kept saying it on my Twitch, and then people, get all angry at me because I promote Mario too much. I don't think y'all understand like just how big his platform is and how many connections he has to different platforms across Europe. Like the dude gets drafted. He's in like most major Spanish newspapers. He's getting promoted by NBA 2K Spain. He's getting promoted by NBA Spain. Like GameHER gets picked. He's getting promoted by 2K UK. He's getting promoted by NBA UK. Like these are platforms that we need. This isn't a can or want. This is a need. We need those platforms because that is an extra 50 to 100,000 people that are going to see what those 2 guys are doing. Now you jump on top of it that I know we already had Jacko in the league. Now we have Milo. Milo's impact in the APAC region. He's the #1 player in that region from a press perspective, from a talent perspective, everything. He's the guy potentially that could put us on the map in that area of the world. He really could. We could gain a couple thousand, 10,000, 20,000 fans specifically from what Milo does. And I think a lot of players in our league, and I don't want to rail on the players too hard, I think that they can be a little bit short-sighted when they see that stuff and think that the league pushes international and women too much. The reason we push those guys that much because A, they're incredibly talented. B, they're good people. I mean, they're some of the most motivated gamers I have ever come across in this community. Like there are few people in the world who have been as motivated to make the league as GameHER, Mario, and Milo. And 3, it's easy press. It's easy. Do you know how easy it is to get press in a local newspaper if a guy gets drafted? Low key, I had a guy from Mississippi reach out to me, be like, hey, did anybody from Mississippi get drafted in the NBA 2K League? Now take out Mississippi and add the entire country of Spain or Australia. That's what we're talking about here. So it's just easy. Like it's just, these are easy. As somebody, my fiance's in PR, I'm in journalism. It's all about eyeballs. It's all about eyeballs. It's all about clicks. It's all about getting in front of as many people as possible. And those guys are going to help us get in front of as many eyes as possible. Now, expanding the draft away from just the international and women gamers, I think that this year's draft is going to surprise a lot of people because the level of motivation overall from this draft class, CURT, I don't know if you saw it. There were obviously some individual apples here and there. Man, the motivation and passion in this draft class is unmatched. It really is. I don't think we've ever had a draft class grind the way that this draft class has, because at this point we are gone. Like the household names of 2K are already in the league, right? Like Bear making the league in season 2, Chalk making the league in season 3 versus season 1 and 2. That's completely different. The household names of Pro-Am are already in the league. All of these guys are now guys who have had to put everything on the line to make the league and to get back in. A Czar, a Glow, Crazy's first time getting to league. And he's been grinding for this moment for about 3 to 4 years, right? Like there is so much passion and so much commitment in this year's draft class that if you are a veteran and you're on a team, you need to understand that your spot is not safe because this draft class is coming for you. I've had a lot of private conversations with a lot of prospects in this draft class. I am blown away by their competitiveness and I am blown away by just how badly they want this. And it's not even like a money thing. And it's not even like I need a stage to prove myself thing. It's more of like a, finally, I'm here. Let's do this. It's so much different. They've been sitting on the sidelines for 3 years, just waiting for their moment. If you're a veteran in the league and your team drafted a lot of prospects, you better be ready. I'm telling you, they are coming into camp. They are coming into the market to take your job. They are coming to take your job. If you are not ready, you're going to be on the bench by the middle of the season. So I want you to watch this, Kurt. This is something I want everybody at home to watch. Let's wait until we get to week 7. And I want you to notice how many retained players or multi-year veterans are sixth men. I want you to just watch and see how many there are, because there's going to be a lot more than people realize just by how hard this draft class is going to work. I'm very excited to see it, but that is one of my hot takes, that we're going to have a lot of a lot of retained and multi-year veterans end up on the bench this year, just from how hard this draft class is going to work.
No, I wouldn't argue that. I mean, I think that was well said. You got, it's saying that finally, like, you got a lot of players who've been striving to make the league, and even some fighting to get back, and boom, here they are. So that makes for a good environment if treated correctly, because competition is supposed to be a part of it anyway, even internally, beyond externally, and competing against other organizations. So I definitely agree with you on that. You NBA Top Shot enthusiasts. A lot of people are getting in the Top Shot. I've seen you do. Famous has been big on it. Jeff, I've seen him do things on it. You've been talking about, a lot of people talking about it. Explain what it is and give your thoughts on it.
Well, I need to start with why I love NBA Top Shot, with something that's very close to my heart. And that's one of a very prominent mental health disorder in my life called ADHD. I lose everything. I lose everything. I lose my AirPods. I lose my car keys. I lose my phone. Lose it. Never see it again. Have to buy something new. Can't do it. Just not organized. That's just not who I am. So a couple of years ago, my friends started to get really into the sports card industry. Could you imagine a worse thing to give someone with rampant ADHD than a bunch of paper cards? I'd lose all of them. Impossible. There's no way I could ever get into collectible sports cards. I am not organized enough. I will lose them, and then I will find a LeBron James rookie card underneath my bed 15 years, and it'll be all dusty. Can't do it. So I've been waiting to get into the sports collectible scene for a really long time. I've just been waiting for the right moment to get in. And then, almost as if it was descended out of the stars, kind of specifically for me, Top Shot starts. I got into it a little bit later than I probably should. I had a lot of people trying to talk me into it back in, December and January. And I just kind of kept pushing it off. I didn't trust the website. I thought it was a little sketchy, which at first it kind of was. They've made a lot of strides. But then I realized the content potential with something like this. That was the first place that my brain went, was, ooh, content. This is cool. The pack openings, the analysis, the market structure. I thought it was a perfect content driver. And I ended up being right. I mean, you have multiple podcasts, our own Real Phil D helping run that First Mint podcast. That is huge. I have my little thing on Vover Audio. Jeff is doing stuff with NBA Top Shot. The content potential on something around this is insane, because it's so easy. It's a website. It's a website where you buy things and you basically just hold on to them on the website. It's so simple and it's so easy. And people keep talking about, oh, well, Harris, this thing's a bubble, right? It's going to pop. It's going to explode. It's going to cease to exist. And it's like, no, probably not. That's not really how things work anymore. Like, even something as ridiculous as Dogecoin. People always underestimate the internet, Kurt. That is the number one thing. People continue to underestimate the internet and think that their conventional line of thinking is going to beat the internet. You will always lose. the internet always wins. This kind of stuff, this NFT stuff, this Top Shot stuff, it is just another example in the long line of the internet always wins. Collectibles, the internet's going to win. Sports versus esports, the internet is going to win. It is the most powerful force in the history of the planet, and people still continue to doubt it. Top Shot for me is the future of collectible sports, of sports collectibles. They're going to get into the NFL. They're going to get into the UFC. They're going to get into maybe baseball if they ever decide to stop being a freaking dinosaur. They're going to end up taking over the collectible industry. And I hope people are just ready for it. This isn't a bubble. Top Shot is going to be around for a really long time. They make a ton of money off of it. It's licensed by the NBA. And come on, Kurt, you and I know, once the NBA starts pulling those the real marketing levers, I'm not saying like they're tweeting out a couple times a week. I'm talking about the NBA shadow marketing levers. Okay. I'm talking about using Amazon Web Services and Google marketing tools to get NBA Top Shot onto all the little random websites across the internet and increase their page views by 10x. The shadow marketing of the NBA hasn't even kicked in for this yet. And we're already at 300,000 people every single pack drop. So if you want to get into it, I suggest learning about it and maybe throwing a little bit of money at it. But at the end of the day, I was skeptical about it for a really long time. So was a lot of other people that I know. But I'm just tired of doubting the internet. I got into crypto way too late because I doubted the internet. I got into esports too late because I doubted the internet. I never doubt the internet anymore. It is the most powerful tool ever given to humanity. And people still assume, the internet, it's a bubble. It'll vanish. It'll change, blah. No, it's never going to vanish. There is no bubble. The only bubble here are the people who doubt it. That's the bubble. That bubble is going to pop way quicker than Top Shot being a bubble. So I think it's going to be one of the biggest things in sports. Just like gambling, it is going to help grow the sport in the worldwide, but it's also just going to give people another outlet to A, spend money, and B, to follow the sport that they love. There's no reason it should fail.
Gotcha. And I agree. I mean, it's just as funny as I know everybody makes their remarks about the 2K League and people always get into viewership and I always get into and expansion teams not joining, and this, it's the NBA people. I mean, nothing about the NBA has failed ever. So I
need to comment on the viewership, Kurt. I need to comment on that. People need to understand scale. Okay, not everything in life is going to end up being the biggest thing ever created. Okay. The 2K League definitely has big potential. But what I don't understand are people who are disappointed that the league averages 8,000 to 9,000 live viewers on Twitch during game days. People are disappointed by those numbers. You look at Twitch, I would kill to have 9,000 live viewers watching me at any time. I would kill for that. That is the top 0.0001% of Twitch. But the problem is that people continue to compare us to other esports. Stop it. Exactly. Stop comparing us to other esports because we are not other esports. We are the NBA 2K League. It doesn't matter. All that matters for us is internal growth. That's the only thing that should matter to you. Are we growing our viewership year over year? Total numbers don't matter. It's like in the stock market. Never look at the amount of money that you've made. Always look at the percentage growth that you've had. And all I see is every single year, the NBA 2K League has increased their viewership by at least 40%. Every single year, year over year, we've gone up at least 40% in viewership. I don't care what the total numbers are. I really, maybe that's not popular among the people. I personally don't. Growth is the number one metric that matters in America. It's always been about growth. How many new subscribers are you getting? Like Netflix has 50 million subscribers. It doesn't matter that they already have those subscribers. All people want to know is how many new subscribers do you have? viewership growth is the number one key of how healthy a league is. Not expansion teams, not total viewers, growth. If there is growth, there is success. That's all that anybody wants to see is growth. Of course, the NBA 2K League wants 200,000 live people watching on Twitch. But we're in year 4. We're still babies. Do you know how many people play 2K that don't know the NBA 2K League exists? The fact that we're doing the numbers that we are doing right now without those people should get people super excited. So here's what I want to project for all people going into this season. And there are certain content creators who I think are being a little bit too negative when it comes to the future prospects of the league. I want everybody to view everything as positive this year, because last year, in what should have been a lost year for the league, ended up being arguably our most successful season to date. So in a lost year, we blew up more. Now we're heading into season 4, which kind of replaces the importance of what season 3 was supposed to be. Now we're just doing it with a larger viewer foundation. I don't understand all the negativity. If I'm somebody who's tracking the 2K League, I'm like, cool, they're growing, have a nice core audience. The players are getting bigger on social media. The teams are getting better at content. The coaches are getting smarter and learning how to draft and coach better. Where's the minus here? I'm just confused why there's so much negativity. People are saying, oh, the NBA 2K League view bots and all this crap. Guys, I try to be as honest as I humanly possibly can. Okay. I'm not somebody who's gonna lie to your face. If the NBA 2K League was view botting, I would know. And they don't. I don't even know why we give it energy. If we were, I would know, and we're not. We just understand how marketing works and how the back end of the internet works. We are not botting views. The NBA 2K League has never bought a view, but we are smart. We know what we're doing. Our marketing team is the best in the business. Our content team is the best in the business. We have incredibly smart people that want this league to succeed. So please know that we would not like gyp our fan base like that. We care. We care about the community. We care about this kind of stuff. It hurts when people think that we bought views. We wouldn't do that to our players and coaches and give them the raw end of the deal. So just know that we are trying our best to make this league as big as it can possibly be in the most honest ways that we can, while also using the available tools of the internet to expand our audience. But nobody's out there. Nobody's on twitchbot.com buying 15,000 views per game day. What you think we're the NBA? You think we're going to waste money on something like that? No way. I trust Ivan. I trust Lindsay. I trust Alyssa. I trust Chris Henderson. I trust our entire marketing and partnership team that they are doing everything in their power to grow the viewership in an organic way. And again, like I said, I would know. It was literally like the perfect intersection of my role, but it doesn't happen. We're just doing everything organically. And also, our league office is like 16 people. Look at the growth that we've been able to accomplish. It's incredible. Like, our budget is probably about the same as like the NBA max contract of 1 year. And we do more in 1 year than most leagues will do in 5. We completely shifted to a remote gaming environment in a month. Kurt, it took us a month. Our studio got taken away from us. Our equipment basically got taken away from us. And in a month, our content team put together fly packs for every single team in the league. We found a way to do remote gameplay from across the country. Our main production studio was in Canada, and we still pulled this thing off. People will never understand the scale of how much we put into making remote gameplay work. And they still attempt to question the people who are running this league. It is stunning to me. We have your backs, guys. We are trying to make this league as big as we can with the best people in the industry. So just trust that we know what we're doing. That's all I got. Just trust that we know what we're doing.
Well said, Harris. At this point in the show, it's OG wants to know. It's rapid fire questions, answer open and honestly as possible. No pressure.
Let's do it.
Biggest influence.
My father.
What motivates you?
My fiance and my dog.
Favorite 2K League moment of all time.
Oh man, favorite 2K League moment of all time. That's really difficult. I'm still going to go with the turn up shot in the corner season 2 because that was the best in studio moment we've ever had.
Gotcha. Favorite 2K League team.
I don't know if I should answer that without getting in trouble. No, I'm kidding. My favorite 2K League team. I have a couple different ones. I'll name off the 4 that I care about. Love Nets GC, since you and YL have been as great to me as any people in the league have. Celtics gaming, just because I'm a bleed green diehard Celtics fan. Was a huge Blazer 5 gaming fan when they had Mom and Walnut on their team. And then Gen G and 76ers GC are tied for 4th, just because I like their coaches and I just like the way they run business.
Got you. Favorite content creator.
That isn't me. Favorite content creator. I'm gonna give a shout out to a very select circle of guys who I think is the most supportive in this community. Joe Vegas, Landis, Fox, Chris, Champ, and India. A nice little core group, and Token, of course, a nice little core group that I think is leading the charge in the next generation of 2K League content.
Yeah, and those are some of the guys that I think are up next. That's my own OG2CENTS about that.
Oh yeah.
Favorite actor and actress.
Oh, favorite actor. Christ, that's really hard. God. You put me on the spot with favorite actor. Hold on. Hold on. I got it. Favorite actor is probably Tom Hardy. I'd probably go Tom Hardy. I love him. I love his Bane, and then I love him in Mad Max. And then favorite actress will always be Halle Berry, undefeated. Can't touch her.
Celebrity crush.
Camille Kostick, former New England Patriots cheerleader and Rob Gronkowski's girlfriend.
Got you. Favorite movie of all time.
Oh, Back to the Future Part 1. Easy. Will never be touched.
Got you. Favorite 2K League player.
Favorite 2K League player. I have, you know what? I don't have a number one. I have there are so many guys whose games I appreciate that I could honestly list off about 50 players that I would consider like my favorites. Though one guy here, instead of saying favorite player, the guy who I think is going to take the league by storm this year. Okay. I'm gonna say Vandy. I talked a lot about how this draft class is unbelievably motivated. That's Vandy this year. I think people are going to see a different side to his game. Just be ready for what him and AA are going to bring to the table this year.
Got you. If you wasn't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing?
What would I be doing if oh my God. It's gonna be a hot take. Nothing. This is it. Like, this is what I like. I don't think people really understand this about me. This is what I'm doing right now is what I've always wanted to do my entire life. This is it. Have an avid community and audience that loves to give me feedback and engage with me. A community that supports and challenges me at all times. A employer that respects my talent, but also again pushes me to be the best person I can be. And just in general, look, when I was growing up, I wanted to be the #1 anchor on SportsCenter. Maybe that ends up being my future. Doesn't matter. But if there's one thing I've learned as an adult, and if there's one thing I hope people could take from this, you need to be grateful and happy with the situation that you're in right now if you've made it. For me, I don't think I've made it yet in terms of like made it big time, but I've created this for myself. I pay for this apartment, right? I pay my bills here. I help keep another living creature alive. Like, I have a relationship that I'm maintaining. I have a life that I've built for myself. And every day I wake up grateful that I have the life that I have, because I'm very lucky. I'm a very fortunate guy, but at the same time, I've worked so damn hard to get to where I'm at today. I've worked so hard for it. I've sleepless nights, 16, 17-hour work days, weeks with years without vacations just to get where I'm at today. And it makes me so excited because I know that I'm not done yet. I know that I still have so much to do. And at 25 years old, if I had told 20-year-old Harris, who was still in college, where he's at 25, I'd celebrate for a week just because I'd be so thrilled about where I've been able to get myself to. And there have been a lot of challenges along the way, a lot of really, really low points that for a lesser man, I put in quotation marks, would have sank a lot of different people. But I am blessed to be surrounded by some unbelievable people who have always been able to keep my head up and have kept me on the right track.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, Harris, appreciate you coming on. I think you dropped more jewels than me, and I'm grateful for that. Definitely appreciate what you do for the league, what you do for the community, and what you've done for us also. So I want to say thank you for that, and thank you for coming on the show, man. And before you get out of here, I want you to tell people how they can follow what you do. So plug away.
Oh man. Well, I'm at Sportstein everywhere. SPORTSTEIN everywhere. Twitch, Twitter primarily. I'm going to be expanding into Clubhouse and Locker Room app during the season this year. I have a couple different things that I want to accomplish on those platforms. Definitely hit me up on Twitch. I go live probably about 4 to 5 times a week. Starting at around 9 to 10 p.m. every so often. Really just depends on what my work schedule is and how tired I am. Be on the lookout for me hopefully on the NBA 2K League broadcast this year. I'll have a kind of specific stats and analytics role. So they'll bring me on every time they need a little bit of assistance. But most of all, guys, when it comes to this, support the league. Follow the NBA 2K League, follow all of our teams, follow the players. Follow any surrounding influencers or celebrities that are getting involved with the league. Do understand that there are a lot of people who are working their butts off to put this league in a position to succeed. And, we know that everybody appreciates it silently. But at the same time, a little public appreciation never hurt anybody, especially not even for me, man. Like, I think as whether it's Frank or myself or Scott or Dirk, we're in public facing roles. So people, they see us, but I don't think people really understand the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes from the rest of the team. Whether it's, BD, Manny, the guy who runs, Teambo, Matt Arden, Mike Budney, TJ Canty. I mentioned the marketing team and partnerships team before. Karina, who just got brought on recently, she's had to catch up really, really fast. I know that you know her, OG. She's been coordinating every single show for the past couple months. Brad Ross, who's basically running league operations now since DT got an unbelievable opportunity. Like, there are so many people who want this league to succeed and blow up and be as big as it possibly can. And I think they deserve your appreciation as much as any of us public facing people. So follow the league, follow me. Let me tell you, we're going to have an unbelievable season this year. Season 4 is going to be really, really fun. Just enjoy it. Who cares? Who cares what the viewership numbers are? Let's make this season about us. Let's make this season about the people who have put so much time and effort into making this a reality. And let's just enjoy it because it's going to be one for the ages. So just enjoy it and stop worrying about everything that might come along with it.
Agree, Harris. And I want to thank everybody who listening to this episode, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow the OG2CENTS podcast on social media at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The OG2CENTS podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and OG2CENTS podcast on Twitter. Follow myself on social media at OG King CURT. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can go to www.ogkingcurt for everything OG King CURT and the podcast as well. Shout out to my team, Box Graphics, Cy Evermore, and Strider Visuals.
Oh yeah,
for continuing to make the OG2CENTS podcast what it is. You can find me on EsportsXTRA every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from anywhere from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what host Larry Ridley, the crew, Kelly Wells Brinkley, Antonio Williams, Durham Roel, and Kevin Mamuzet. We talk esports and traditional sports. You can catch us on twitch.tv/Compete Forever and YouTube and Facebook Gaming as well. Make sure you catch next week's episode. And remember, if it makes sense, it's an OG2CENTS. OG out.
Put this work in, fellas. And much, much, much love to the entire 2K community for always showing me love. Without y'all, we wouldn't be here. Yeah.